I am excited to share this reading with you. It's something I've seen requested a lot on YouTube. And it's also a reading I do a lot for myself, which is what is something that's blocking you? And as part of that, we're going to talk about what's blocking you and also how to obviously deal with that. So to do these readings, I often like to use charms. I just think they're adorable. And the ones that came out today really kind of made me laugh. So I feel like the overall message is maybe to lighten up, just given how not serious these charms look compared to the other ones available that are in the bag. So we have a cat, we have a paw. At this point, but pulling them out, I was like, is everything going to be animal related? But the next one we have is an electric guitar. So see which one resonates with you. You can also, if you want to, something I do with the pick a pile readings online is I just hold my hand over the screen to feel which card my hand responds to. So it might feel warm, it might feel cold, or it might feel tingly. All right, so take a minute and see what stands out to you. Hi, pile one, you chose the cat and the first card. So let's see what we have coming through for you in the cards today. We'll put this right here and this one right about here. And let's do this one. Oh, and the cat should come over here as well. This one's definitely wanting to come out. I feel like one or two more of the specific deck is, yep, two more from here. All right, so let's add those in. And then let's see what other cards come up. Oh, thank you. This one, and this one. Okay, let's just tidy up a little bit. So again, this is a reading about, looking at something that might be blocking you and how to deal with that. The little turtle. I'll move it up here. Here we go. Okay. All right, so let's see what cards we have. For your archetype card, we have Apocalypsis. Wow, that is a powerful card, and the imagery is also quite bold in that card. For your subtle body card, we have the Pericardium Meridian, which is about protection and self-love. Next, we have the Wheel of Fortune with Change. Ripeness, the Nine of Pentacles, or in the case of this deck, the Nine of Rainbows. Ooh, Courage or Strength. Totality, which is the Five of Fire or the Five of Wands. The Master. And New Vision. All right, so the Master is a card that is not in other traditional tarot decks, so and it does not have a number associated with it. So let's see what we have for over here. We have the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Four of Pentacles. And I'm not reading with reversals today. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. We have the Two of Pentacles. And finally, we have the Eight of Cups. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Ooh, interesting. So the 12 here of New Vision is actually the Hanged Man. I think it's maybe a little telling that I thought it was Temperance. So I'm just going to keep that in mind for the reading, that I made that mistake because it could be significant in the reading itself. Especially interesting because we're talking about blocks and we have the Hangman here, which is New Vision in this deck. Let's see what's going on. So it's interesting because there is a lot of energy of change in this reading. And when you think about like what's making me be blocked or what's keeping me blocked, you would think that there would not be much change happening. So I think that there is a lot of shifting with apocalypsis, which is about death and renewal, and like a new beginning kind of coming forward, which is interesting with the New Vision. And in the Wheel of Fortune, it's also about this twist in fates, this kind of change that's coming. And so the thing is that I feel there is so much in these cards that indicate change is happening. And where you're getting stuck, I believe, is there's two aspects to it. One is that you're afraid and you feel nervous. So in some ways you're in, I think, denial about what was happening, which is making it feel like you're stuck somehow. These things are happening around you. This is not even, I think, within your control, or it definitely has to do with you, but I don't think it's a change you started. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in this, and that's where you're blocked, is you're missing the opportunity because you are afraid of the changes that are happening in your life. And you're not even maybe acknowledging them right now. With the New Vision card, there's this sense, it's so interesting that the Hanged Man is a card about feeling stuck, right? And typically it's about feeling stuck, but amassing a ton of knowledge in that stuck kind of state. So there's that outward appearance of not making any movement, while inside there's so much change happening. And that also kind of is reflective of this flower that just kind of sprung out from between the rocks. So I wonder if you feel like, and where I'm bringing in the Temperance card because I made that mistake, and I feel like there could be a part of you that has felt very much like you've just been going through the motions for a while, and that you've needed to stay kind of under the radar a little bit, and that this combination of these two things is bringing out this new part of you. But it's going to take courage to go there and to actually let yourself come out of this kind of stasis, which could be challenging, to acknowledge that you have gained a lot of information and intelligence from this experience of change going on around you, that there is much to be gained here. And I'm curious, I'm curious about the kind of more detail about this in general. So I'm gonna do a follow-up question, I think, in a little while about that. For now, let us just keep kind of going through the cards that are already here. So there's this kind of the presence of the moon here. So there's a little bit of uncertainty going on, but it's uncertainty because these things are happening that are beyond your control. And it just feels like things have really shifted underneath you, and you've had to do all this growth, this growing. And that the opportunity to become unblocked has to do with being courageous and picking the fruit off the tree and taking the knowledge of what you have to learn from this experience with you. And I think in some ways it's got to do with acceptance, with the wisdom. Like there's this idea of downloading information, which is like you can do through automatic writing or meditating or even just journaling and really letting yourself explore possibilities. Creativity, things like that are all ways to kind of get information and deal with the change that's happened in a way that is very productive. The totality card. These two cards are related in my mind because of the similarity in color. And look at how these two look so similar too. It's just very interesting. So for me, looking at this, it's almost inviting you to have faith in yourself and your ability to go with what's happening, to swing back and forth, because this kind of process of like grieving or dealing with a big change, there's kind of this pendulum that gets put into motion where it's like, you know, really positive feelings or really light and airy feelings, and then really dense or kind of what you could identify as negative. So there's this kind of pendulum swing. And right now it looks like you're being invited to swing to a more positive side of things. And it takes courage, though, to let go, you know, to grab onto this person and have someone let go of your feet. It's also like very simple, you know, like all you have to do is reach your hands out and grab this person, and it's scary and there's a leap of faith aspect to it, but you have people around you to help you with that. So there is support happening here, and it's a very simple gesture, though very frightening at the same time. And know that you are protected, and that you just need to like love yourself enough to make this transition into a more positive kind of way of viewing with this or working with it. And that will help to unblock you, I think, a lot. So then we have these 4 cards over here. And there's a lot of inner work happening in all of this. This is all very inner oriented. And I view these as kind of being the more outer oriented cards. So there's this feeling of not knowing what to do next, kind of juggling things, or kind of, you know, avoiding making a decision by distracting yourself with other smaller decisions or different decisions to make. So that's also part of a blockage. There is, and it's hard because I think to the world you present this kind of very unified idea of who you are. You like to be very grounded or seem very grounded, and underneath it is this kind of uncertainty, this kind of like hesitation about what to do next or what to focus on next. And there's a million little things instead that you're dealing with. I hope that makes sense. With the 4 Pentacles, it's very similar to me. In this, it's like you're not, you know, your feet don't even touch the ground with all the things that you're doing and paying attention to. So there's a huge amount of focus on like getting work done or on external goals, and it's really serving the purpose kind of not of staying in denial a little bit about all the changes, or not letting the changes touch you as much as they could. You know, on a subconscious level, there's a lot of work being done, a lot of changes happening. On a conscious level, you're not ready, or you haven't been ready to accept that just yet. So there is this very heavy focus on stability and on, you know, appearing fine, and that kind of thing can create a blockage. For the 8 of Cups, there is also this feeling of wanting to leave. You're kind of considering maybe not being so like taking a more spiritual journey, I think, and you're considering maybe letting go of this identity that you've held on to for so long. And this could have to do with work, or also just like being a responsible person in relationships and things like that. And there is this daydream you have about kind of, well, maybe I should just pick up and leave everything, or try something else. There's this daydream kind of that you have. And I believe in what I'm seeing in the cards, that this is, yourself calling to yourself. This is the master calling you to the higher self. You're feeling the call of all of this in your heart of hearts, when no one is looking, and so there are these wheels turning underneath the surface, that are really kind of monumental. I was like, I think we need more cards from the Osho Zen deck, because there's more happening subconsciously than there is externally right now, though this bridge is being built between these two things. And so that's kind of the direction things are headed in. So I want to find out, I'm going to do what I'm identifying as the external cards for this. I want to get these more involved. I want to see the bridge. I want to understand this more. So okay, we already are like, yep, us. So let's see, what is this change about? Okay. And then, I want one more card here. Okay, so we've got the Ten of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. So there's something has been completed. The tens are usually like something about completion. We have the 10 in the Wheel of Fortune as well. So there's a new vision, right? There's a beginning of something new. There's a new opportunity that has or will be presenting itself. So this thing is ending so that something new can come into your life. And so that's what's being blocked, is this new thing from coming into your life. The Page of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords, I believe this is more of you kind of examining, like, what do I really want? So part of the change, even though you didn't put it in motion, part of it is this thing that's ending, like you've completed something you were working very hard towards, and now it's done, but it's something that you don't necessarily have to let go of. Like, it's totally in your court. But in the way of the universe, the energy is complete here. You've done what you need to do. And also, the energy is called, like the universe is calling to make the change. In this card, that feeling of being drawn towards something else. And with this Page of Pentacles, I just feel that shift as well. This shift towards, like, is this really what I want? On some level you're done here, but you're very afraid to make that leap to something else. With the Queen of Swords, okay. The other thing that's very hard about this is that whatever you're thinking of changing, it doesn't fit with how people know you or how you present to other people. So I think you probably present as being very grounded, very on top of things, very earthy, and not irrational or spontaneous. And I think that this is a call to let go of some of that identity, to not hold it so tightly, and actually to move into this identity of being very wise and shrewd and making decisions for yourself and making them, without concern about what other people think of you. And so again, we have this kind of more information about the fear that you have, I think, which is not only just letting things go or leaving the situation, but also, having people say, what are you, crazy? Or, accusing you of not being yourself. I hate it when people say, oh, you're not yourself anymore. And there's definitely this feeling of like being very wrapped into this identity that you have. And this shift is happening though, right underneath your feet. You know what I mean? Like these tectonic plates are moving to shift you into a different kind of person, still just as powerful, but not quite so reliable necessarily, which is not a bad thing, especially because I think you're being pulled in that direction. And with the cat, it's kind of an interesting charm to get for this reading, sorry, I'm just getting, it looks like an owl and a cat in one, like the head looks kind of like an owl. So again, we have that wisdom, if you know, the owl aspect, but I do feel that it's, that there's this feeling, like I said, of lightening up. I think for all of our readings, that's going to be part of the theme. And for this one in particular, it's about lightening up, and it's also about going with your instincts. You know, I imagine this cat just going right for this bird. Like a cat, it's fascinating to watch a cat watch a bird or any kind of toy, how they kind of, you know, get ready to pounce and then they go for it. And there's no hesitation. The only hesitation a cat might have is it's not the right time, but never, I don't know if I can catch this thing. They never question their ability. They never question, how is this going to look? They always just go right for it. And I think there's a ton of instinct that comes into that situation. And I think it's the same thing that is pulling you, that it's like, go to the part of yourself, to the instincts that you contain, the masterful part of yourself that has no question that, you know, I am going to get this and I'm going to tackle it, and it's going to be satisfying and it's the right thing for me. This is meant for me. This is mine, you know? So just to give you that kind of, like it's that intrinsic in your spirit. And it could be that, you know, in the past you've seemed flighty or, you know, not as reliable, and you've worked very hard to change that, and now you're being called back to this place, but you're coming at it from this very different, more mature perspective. You have a lot of experience that you bring with you to this this bold decision making, you know. So let's just ask one more question, and then I think that will be it. And the question is, what is this new thing? You know, what is this new thing that's coming? And I'm going to use this deck because I feel like that's the way to go. So what is this new thing that's happening, that's being possibly blocked in this person's life? I always like to pull three. I don't know. Three. Oh, interesting. Wow. So this is about a more spiritual journey. And it's very interesting because right now I feel like a lot of people are being called to themselves to heal and to find their true paths in life. It's very fascinating to me. And so the new thing is so interesting because even in these cards, it's like saying, I'm not ready, you know? And so there's this stress that's caused by the idea of following your own path. And again, there's this feeling of responsibility towards other people, this guilt that you have, which is interesting. It seems like it's part of the package of this new opportunity is to confront or deal with this sense of guilt and this stress, that you experience. It's very interesting. And that must be, you know, what takes courage is to deal with these things. Now, these are minor arcana cards. This is the only major one. So these are not permanent situations. They're like almost gates to walk through. It's almost like, to make this more valuable, you have to go through these two experiences so that by the time you get to a place where you're relying on yourself and following your own path, you really want it by that point. So this is like, you know, a trial by fire kind of feeling to me, that the new thing that's coming, it's not uncomplicated, but it's absolutely worth it. And it's going to take some real emotional work to get there. And you might feel like you're letting people down. You might feel like people are giving you a hard time too. Like with this stress card, it's really interesting because it's this, you know, this monkey who's having this, in my mind, having this person perform, even though the person is holding on to the monkey. It's the monkey mind, right? And then the monkey's like, I'm going to pop this balloon you're standing on. And so it's like it's a totally stressful situation, and largely because of the amount of pressure you're putting on yourself, or that you feel other people are putting on you. But by and large, it's really your stress that you're adding because of all these other people. And so the key to all of this is to go further inside, where there is a journey waiting for you. And it's not something that cards want to give too much information about, it seems like. Which is interesting, and maybe part of this whole challenge is faith, having faith that there is a destination here and a direction. Yeah. And again, even with this card, it's very much like this is in your mind. You know what I mean? Like it's the way you're thinking is causing you pain and suffering. And so getting through that and saying, no, I'm better than this. I don't deserve to feel so bad for just being myself is going to help you to reclaim yourself, reconnect with yourself on this really deep, significant level that is powerful enough to take you through this transformation in a way that is awake and alive and learning through it. So yeah, pretty interesting, really. I mean, it's interesting. There's a lot going on. It's funny because there's obviously a heaviness to this reading. And at the same time, there's such assurance here that this is a journey worth taking, and that there is something in mind for you. And it's not the practical, tangible goal that I think you really would prefer it to be. But you do feel it, and this is about faith, and it's about going with your gut, I think, a lot, and letting your energy and your brightness and your joy blossom in a more significant way, and stopping pleasing other people and trying to live for them, and starting to live for yourself, which can involve letting people down or seeming flaky, but really what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like you do. The MasterCard isn't here for no reason. You have a very clear sense of self that you now need to reclaim, and all of this is happening to assist you with that. So that is both what is blocking you, as well as kind of how to address it and work with that. I think it will be difficult at first, but the more you practice just not worrying about what other people think, the more courageous you are, the easier this whole thing becomes. Because on the other side of people is the universe, and the universe is calling to you right now. And if you and the universe team up, other people just get very small in that equation, and then new people can become attracted to your life that will suit you better and help you on your mission. So a lot of faith is required, though. And that is your reading for today. I hope it was helpful, and I thank you so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like the video, and also subscribe if you would like to. I am going to be posting more videos like this all the time, as well as some tarot card reviews and just thoughts on reading tarot, ways to read tarot, and things like that. So don't miss out. Subscribe, and then also, more importantly, have a lovely, lovely day. Thanks so much. Bye. Hi, pile two. You chose the second card, obviously, and you chose this little paw print for your reading. So let's see what cards you're gonna get. All right, we'll put that paw there, and we'll start here. Let's see what wants to come out. I feel like it's this one right here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I am feeling that we need one more. Yep, way to go. So I'm going to put that right here, and then let's see. Oh, we have 2 that want to come out. I feel like it's this one and this one. And oh, this one also. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Again, this is a reading about what might be blocking you and how to kind of deal with that. So for your archetype card, we have the Underworld. A very appropriate card for this time of year when Persephone is going down into the underworld for her winter season. The 10th chakra, which is a card I believe that showed up in the last reading, one of the last readings I did. Guidance with the 3 of Pentacles or rainbows. Traveling, the 8 of Wands or fire. Totality, which showed up in the last reading in the same exact spot, which is crazy. It's a 5 of Wands or fire. Change also showed up in the last reading in a different spot. That's the Wheel of Fortune usually. And then we have silence, which is 17. And it's something that you're really trying to stay on top of and process, I think. You are doing so much of what is right. You're working on being more spiritual, being creative. You are taking care of what needs to be taken care of. You're very compassionate. And you see the boundaries before you. You see kind of what's going on. There's intuition happening. So you have all these characteristics. And I really believe that these are like great strengths that you've already kind of unearthed. You've been doing a lot of work. And it could be the result of, having to deal with the underworld. And the thing about the underworld is that, Persephone has to go there every year, and it makes me think of seasonal affective disorder, where, for some of us, myself included, when the days get shorter, and this part of the hemisphere that I'm in, it becomes very hard to stay energized and feel engaged with the world. And so this could be a recurring theme for you, where there is this kind of darkness that descends on you time and again, and it could even be seasonal. Because of this, you have managed to develop really amazing coping skills and to draw upon all those things. And so still there is a feeling of being stuck. And obviously that's the case because you're watching this reading. So it's really remarkable and impressive to me, all the stuff you've accomplished, and still there is this sense of being stuck. And I think that the underworld kind of naturally brings that out in people. I think it's a very common reaction to being confronted with feeling lousy or being afraid and dealing with things that are more difficult to deal with. And you can see with the 10th chakra here and the figure in this card, they're very grounded and they're very good at like drawing energy from the earth and things like that. But the underworld is hanging over their head. So there is this aspect of, having all this brightness and potential, but feeling like you are blocked by, the negativity, the darkness that descends in your life from time to time, which is a big thing to deal with. A lot of times, this card is not the actual block, but the reason the block is happening. And that is indicated a little bit in the underworld card. But it is just interesting to me because it isn't as clear an instruction as the other cards that usually come up in that position. So it's hard because it's within nature, and I'm thinking of this as depression, but it could be anything, I am going to talk about depression. You can apply it as you see fit, but that is something that is beyond your control, and I think if, I think, whatever this is beyond your control, though you have worked so hard to manage it as much as possible, manage the symptoms of the thing or the way it works and interacts with your life. So what else is going on here in regards to this block? Again, we have this idea of traveling, of maybe being apart from people that you love. happening, and there is this strong kind of pull in the direction. Again, it's just like you just feel like you're drawn into this thing. Challenging. And with the 10 of, well, the 10, the Wheel of Fortune change, there is also just this sense that this shift is happening, whether or not you're present with it. The cards are really kind of just echoing this same sort of message. The idea of silence is very interesting here, or the star, where it is like continuing to go deeper into yourself to find strength. And with the High Priestess and silence together, it's very like a very powerful combination of internal like soul searching and wisdom and knowledge and gaining knowledge. So it could be that, you know, this is all to keep this development going. With the totality card, there is an element of faith, and that was present, as I said, in the first reading. So if you felt kind of drawn to that, give it a watch if you'd like. In this particular reading, I feel like it's very similar, this leap of faith. It's a very simple action to make, but it's also very scary. And it could have to do with this traveling card, because they look so, these three kind of all come together. So there is this element of maybe being more free, or letting yourself kind of break away and tend to yourself through connecting with nature, or through, you know, going on a trip and connecting with nature that way. And there's some element of uncertainty involved in that process. So it feels more like a journey than a vacation, you know, even though it could just be like 2 weeks, you know, in some location that's, you know, mountainy and beautiful. And you can see even there's like a person walking on this path here. I don't know if you can really make it out. It's a tiny little thing. And there is this sense of, you know, of kind of soul searching through the landscape is what I want to say. So I'm curious with all of this. None of the cards really are like it's a very cohesive story. There's nothing. This is the card that I'm very curious about, because it's the one that I don't exactly know what they're saying. But everything else kind of just speaks to this experience of, you know, of your already, like your experience with this and your past, you know, attempts to navigate it, and how you've developed and grown as a person with that. And so I'm gonna get a couple more cards out about this Two of Swords. And I'm actually gonna pull, interesting, King of Wands. I'm going to pull a handful of cards here, because I really want to get a very full picture. I think there's a whole other reading kind of in this one card, and I want to understand it better. So here we go. I'm going to do both different kinds of cards, which is not something I usually do. This was also in the first reading, New Vision, which is the Hanged Man, and we have Healing here. And again, in the first reading, and I totally shuffled the deck, which is so amazing how that happens. It always kind of surprises me, is the Courage card. So let's see. So there's this feeling of, I want to be able to see all the cards. What I'm going to do is, even though you won't be able to see all the cards, this will actually help me to put the pieces together a little bit, but you'll be able to see the new cards that came up. And if I need to, I can always pull a card into the screen. Okay, so now we have this bigger kind of collection of cards. And if we can just get like a little bit in there. That's all right. So there's this feeling of, with the High Priestess to start, um, this idea of silence, of kind of suffering quietly a little bit. And interesting, you have these two tens. Gosh, there's a lot of overlap between this reading and the other one, and we have the 10 here and we have the 10 here, and so there's like something coming to an end a little bit here, or a cycle that's ending. It's emotional related, it's thought related. I think, again, it kind of speaks to this kind of descent into the underworld. But there's a feeling here of quiet suffering, you know what I mean, of not wanting to be a burden on other people, and not wanting to like expect sympathy or complain too much. Simultaneously, you're concerned about this while also focusing on your healing. And so there is this this is kind of at the middle, and then these would be the decisions to make, I feel like. And one decision that you're kind of choosing, you're trying to choose between traveling or going somewhere, changing your life in some way, changing the scenery in some way. It could be moving, it could be going on a trip, and there's possibly another person involved with this that wants you to go in this direction, wants to change things up a little bit, and you're not sure what to do. But it's a new idea, and it's kind of exciting at the same time. And everything aligns in the direction of this being like a good kind of spiritual development, interesting exercise kind of thing to do. The thing that is holding you from this decision here is this this other choice, which is to not go on this journey kind of that is external, and to go on an internal journey instead, and to kind of deal with your struggles personally, and not involve other people, and to let yourself really experience the challenges of the underworld, and to process it through using artwork. So it's kind of I think it's probably the way you are more, you usually process things is through facing it, and working with it and making something new from it. You know, where you really kind of have this alchemy kind of way that you used your suffering or your pain to create new work, whether it's art or just, you know, being a better person, developing compassion and things like that. And I don't want to tell you which decision to make, because it is your decision ultimately. What I will say is that the cards do seem to be having more energy in this direction, and there's less suffering involved here. It's just such a new idea, and it would definitely be a bit of a leap of faith to do this thing and to go, I think, with this person. So what else? So the thing that I think is blocking you is not just this underworld, this descent, which you're used to, which is why I don't think it's blocking you that much, as much as the way you're used to dealing with it is now being called upon to change. And that's where you're blocked, because you're not sure if you can trust the new vision, if you can trust the idea of making this transition, and that it is safe, or that you actually have the support of this other person, that you can trust them to hold you through this, right? And to keep you kind of safe, you know. And there is this element with the 10th chakra of really wanting to feel grounded. I will say, however, that the way to be grounded, because of the colors of the card and because of the nature of this, it feels like doing it this way actually is a little bit easier and not so in the clouds. You know what I mean? Like, this is a more grounded journey, and it will feed you in ways that you cannot necessarily feed yourself. You're very self-reliant. And that is also part of the block, I think, to consider, so it's very interesting. I don't think that you're being told, though, and I just want to make this clear, to ignore this, and even if you're being called to change your way this year of dealing with the thing, you're not being called to ignore it. You're definitely called to let it change you the way it has consistently changed you over time, to grow into a more compassionate, like, not a whole person, a rich person. You're a rich person in your personality, but to let it change you this time in the way of trust and building trust. So I guess I did kind of tell you which decision to make, but really it's up to you. The fact is, though, the lack of trust, I think, and the wanting to be relying on the self, wanting to do things the way you're used to, is the thing that's blocking you in this particular situation. With the adorable little paw, I feel like, to me, it speaks of the journey, right? It speaks of leaving footprints behind you, walking on the beach, leaving footprints here, wherever it is that you go, and knowing that you'll be there where you are, that you don't, just because you aren't doing maybe what you would usually do, just because you might be trusting someone or putting faith into someone that you're nervous about putting faith into, you're still there and you're still you. So even if this weren't to work out, you have all of this stuff still to draw upon. You do not lose this, And so for me, this is about the journey, and it's about letting yourself be led, but also know that just because you're letting yourself be led a little bit doesn't mean you're not still the person in control, or who you've learned to be. You've accomplished so much. You do not lose that. You don't lose that. You do not fall in this scenario. I do not see that. So that is your reading. I hope this is really helpful. It's so interesting, and I'm so curious if this resonates with anyone. What is this journey about? Where are you going? It's a physical thing. It's not, you're used to taking the emotional journeys and the inner journeys, and it's so interesting because this is an inner journey, but it's the catalyst is an outer one. So I'm so interested if this resonates. Where are you going? And are you going to do it, or are you not? And either way is obviously fine. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do like the video. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I am going to be doing a lot of different types of tarot readings over the next several months, as well as talking about tarot decks and ways that I read the tarot. So if you enjoy this kind of content, don't miss out and subscribe. And more importantly, have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. Bye. Hi, pile 3. You chose the electric guitar and the third card. Let's see what you've got. All right. So again, this is a reading about something that's blocking you, and then, how you can get unstuck. And the first 2 readings have been very interesting. Some common themes happening. Just like I said with the lightning up, I think both are, both kind of dealt with that a little bit. So let's see what yours has to say about those topics. Thank you. All right. And for this one, I'm gonna do, 2 want to come out, so we'll keep these 2. All right. Okay, and now for these cards. A whole hunk just fell out. Okay, let's see how many we've got here. I feel like this should be here, 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 and this one wants to be here. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on right now. I'm just gonna organize these a little bit, bring them down. All right, great. All right. So for your archetype card, we have the Village. And then we have the ninth auric field, Codes of Destiny and Life Design. Wow. Then we have the Outsider with the Five of Pentacles or Rainbows. We have Laziness, the Nine of Swords, or nope, the Nine of Cups, sorry, the Nine of Cups or Water. Think of a blue sky, but it's actually gray in this deck. Totality, this is the third time. Every single card, every single reading has had this card, which is amazing. The Five of Fire or Wands. We have Going with the Flow, which is the Ace of Water or Cups. And then we have Turning In, which is the Four of Water or Cups. Then after that, we have the Seven of Cups, the Hermit, the Magician. We're getting into some major arcana cards here, the Queen of Cups, and the Star. So we have a few major arcana cards, which add significant to a reading. There's not an overwhelming amount. The other two readings kind of had a lot, so I feel like this is not there's no major shift happening right now for you. What is happening? Let us see. I feel like one of the challenges for you right now, oh, and the Hermit was in the first reading, is with the Village. There's a sense of, being very comfortable and being in a place that is familiar to you. However, I don't think it's a place where you feel quite like you belong. Given the Outsider card. And then also the Seven of Cups with this mask that the person is wearing. And there's a feeling here also of not only you're comfortable, but like the people want you to stay where you are. Like there's a feeling of like, even though you don't feel like you belong or you don't necessarily belong, there's also this feeling of like pressure to stay or not change, which is probably one of the things that are blocking you. Also kind of this idea of laziness, right? And laziness is always something that masks something else. And so, so often we are labeled as lazy, or we call ourselves lazy, when actually there's something absolutely going on underneath the surface, right? And it can be, a lot of times laziness is actually, untreated ADHD, or it's depression, or there's like all kinds of like neurodivergent type things or situational things that lead to a person appearing lazy when really they're just kind of stuck. So what I see in this with the Four of Cups down here is kind of this, what is underneath the laziness is really this kind of, you don't really want to take risks, I feel like, and that also has to do with not wanting to leave. It's funny, like you're comfortable-ish here and you always want to appear to go with the flow, like you like to be very flexible and go along with people. At the same time, with both of these cards, have this broken glass, these broken kind of mirrors here, and then these really like creepy faces, right? All these people, ghost-like energies around you that are not looking too happy. This person has his teeth bared. They're kind of calling out to you. There's a lot of hard energy around you, difficult energy to deal with in both of these cards. So there's the appearance of, I got my umbrella and I've got my cocktail and I got my pillow and there's nothing's gonna, bother me. But my goodness, you're sitting on a pile of broken glass. How comfortable can you really be, even if you're like presenting? And at the same time, with this card, it's like, I'm meditating, I'm going with the flow, I'm very chill and peaceful. But how much are you peaceful, and how much are you just ignoring all of the things that you're afraid of or worried about right now? So there's a disconnect, I think, between your reality and how you want to appear to other people or how you want to behave. And the thing that's tricky, I think, is in a lot of ways, this is a learned behavior, a coping mechanism, that you developed over the years that has served you really well. In the meantime, though, you are aware of this, and on some level, as try as you might, these are equal to, if not overwhelming you. And there's also this pull towards like, let me just can I just leave? You know what I mean? Can I just get away from all these voices and all of this struggle? Like, it could be people fighting around you. You're trying so hard to be peaceful and stay for people. But I feel like there is this desire to leave, and this idea, with this chain here kind of reminds me of this circle here. And that's like the commitment to the people around you, or the place where you live. And the thing is about this padlock is it's actually open. So it's totally, you have the ability and the power to fix this. And you really, I don't think have felt like you really belong in this place for a long time. It really makes me think of someone who, is like the stereotypical pot smoker, and this is a 1990s perspective. Things are a lot different now. Back in those days, you would have like these people who did not fit in and did not feel good about themselves. And in order to do so, they would kind of, smoke pot as a way to kind of handle it and be chill and be cool. But they needed that in order to maintain this. Deep inside, they were really struggling, and wanting to get out. And that's the kind of feeling that I have here, is like you push so hard and you work so hard, and it looks like effortless. Everybody says you're easygoing, right? Everybody says, they never get mad, blah, 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 And I do not think that's true. I think that is something you have learned to do over years of, wanting to seem like you fit in, wanting to, as much as you could, feel like you do, even though you really don't. In your heart of hearts, your inner child is like, I don't fit in here. I don't understand how the world functions here, and there is a promise of elsewhere. With the ninth auric field, with codes of destiny and life design, there's also this idea of being called somewhere else, of being, meant to be somewhere else, that the reason this is happening is because you're not meant to stay. And when I say stay, I mean, I am thinking of a physical location, like leaving the family home. However, it could be, I just feel it's like something you, though, inherited, like, doing a job everyone expected you to do, having people say, oh, you're good at this, so of course you're going to do this, and everyone assumes you're going to do this, and you are like, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, but in your heart, you're like, I want to be a musician, right? You're like, I want to be creative, I have my own thing going on. And so this tarot reading is like a call to acknowledge that, because you're kind of enmeshed in this situation pretty heavily, and the tarot is like, no, you're right. You're right, you do have something else. You don't have to numb out, you don't have to be easygoing. Like you have a purpose, and it's not to stay put. So again, we have this leap of faith that everybody is being called to make in this reading. So much of what blocks us, I think, is a lack of trust, at least for everyone watching this reading today, and I think for myself as well. So this trust in the people around you to support you, or this trust that you can do it, and and it could be, though, as I say, that people around you will support it, I do wonder if your need for people to support you, though, is part of what's blocking you, and that it actually is about trust in the creative process more than it is trust in actual individuals. And I'm going to look more deeply at that in a moment. So coming along here, now we have this other group of cards that I think of this as like the internal processes that are happening, and then this is more the external stuff. And so we talked a little bit about the mask. There's also this uncertainty about the future. Like it's a buffet of options, you know, and then there's the one, again, I just feel like there's this one expectation for you that is so, just so hard because you really don't want it and other people want it for you. Um, and so even in this card, like I really see that kind of um, need to pretend like, yes, I'm going to do this and to go along. Um, and it's like you're in a play sometimes, you know. At the same time, there is this feeling like life isn't forever, you know, like this is your life and this is your life. It's not just these other people's lives. And you don't necessarily want to be reduced to whatever this thing is that you're being kind of pushed towards. Um, you also you have established yourself in some way as an individual though, you know, and it's interesting because the way you've kind of done this is through being so laid back and all of this other stuff, but it's that's almost like the laziness is like the shadow side of this other part of you, that is like a person who is seeking something more from life, you know. It's very interesting. And here we have the skull again, you know, these two skulls. So there might be some loss that has happened in the past, which is adding pressure to the situation for you. So this sense of obligation because of something that happened, um, where maybe someone else didn't achieve that, like a pressure um, from a, like, so it could be from a parent who, you know, I think of someone that I know who has who wanted to be an actress and then she never made it, and then she had a kid and then she's trying to have her kid be an actor now, and it's that kind of pressure where it's like something, a dream that wasn't fulfilled for someone else that was close to you. It could be somebody that passed away, it could be somebody that's still alive that's very much guiding you in your life, and there's this pressure from them because of this unfulfilled desire that they have, or it could have to do with just a lineage. But there's a real like heavy involvement of like this tradition, or you know, this pressure that's very difficult. This, you know, you think of the skull and it's this very hard thing. I mean, a person dies and this is what's left of them, you know, that's the thing that doesn't die away. And so this expectation, it's so hard, you know, it's so tangible and strong and lasting, you know, it's a lot to go up against. And simultaneously with that, we have the star, which is actually kind of lovely in my mind because it just makes me think that this is the thing living inside of the hermit's lantern, which is um, a much more sensitive soul than what you present to the world. Someone who's sensitive and very in tune with things, um, and who is quite creative and very good at being present, um, and who is just sensitive. That's all I can think of. You know, you hear these voices even if you pretend not to, and other people probably don't even know they're there, just like a ghost, right? Like some people see ghosts and other people are like, I don't see anything. You're somebody who would see that thing, you know. And so you've kind of developed this persona again, not just of laziness but of being like a hippie almost, you know. Not for everyone that word doesn't apply, but this kind of person um, who is a lot more easygoing and aloof, I think, than you actually are, and a lot less sensitive than you actually are. You're so delightfully sensitive, and there's nothing wrong with that. It does, I imagine it feels like it blocks you though. And I have to say, I do not think this is the thing that blocks you, but believing it blocks you could be. But this is the thing to rescue. This is the precious child, the inner child that is still growing up inside of you, that wants to be free, really. Then we have the magician here. And I think this speaks to the fact that you don't feel like you have control, and also the feeling like you need to look like you do, like if someone else is making the calls for you. um, it's so hard, this particular reading, as much as it's like, the other two readings, they were about big shifts happening, how to navigate those shifts, and that kind of thing is almost easier to deal with in a way, not to make that kind of comparison. The challenge with this is it's there's no real catalyst coming to rescue you. So when something big happens, it kind of shakes everyone's perspective a little bit. So if something different happened, if you were to be inspired to do something new, it would almost be cushioned by this big event, and therefore make it easier to take that leap. In this situation, it's there's not that catalyst happening. There's not a big shift. I think the big shift happened a while back, and that you've just been kind of going with it, and this has been working up to a point, and now, you're wondering what's blocking you, and you're watching this, and that's the catalyst is you. You know what I mean? Like your desire not to keep on this path is the catalyst, and that's not this big external event. It's a big internal event, so that's very challenging. And it can feel, and I really feel like it feels like it's out of your control, which is very hard. I am going to pull more cards because I feel like there's so much more to share with you about, the potential and the situation. I will say these cards, like the archetypes, these are all, the star, the hermit, the magician are all archetypes, and they have a shadow and the shadow self part of them, and I think you've been working largely in the shadows, with this part of yourself, because you've been afraid to let the positives emerge, because letting the positive aspects of these archetypes emerge is actually going against expectations of you. It's going against this idea that you're, laid back. The positive aspects, the star is a very artistic, attractive, alluring person. She's very sensitive, but the sensitivity is very to her benefit, because she uses it to build up her love, and she experiences the world in this very deep way that actually other people can look to and learn from. The hermit is a person who he loves. He's like going on inner journeys, and he's gathering wisdom, and he's gathering strength, so that it's not even for, the hermit, it's not even necessarily there's a reason. There's not necessarily an end to this. It's about the journey. And you have your own personal relationship to the things that have happened in your life, to the expectations, that's separate from other people. There's an aspect of an introvert here, and there's also the aspect of someone who has their own path, and so that, is the positive aspect. The magician, the positive aspect of that is, being able to create and be creative, bring things into your life, attract things to your life. It's just like the raw energy of creation in this person, that, and the shadow side of that could be, I don't read it as the shadow for you is an abdication of that to someone else. It wouldn't be like the shadow of the magician actually would be like over controlling and domineering, but I think that someone else in your life has taken that on for you, and they've taken away your inner magician in that way. So that's part of the challenge there. The shadow side of the hermit we talked about a little already, which is they seem a little aimless, and they're very so they're introverted, but not in a way that has any kind of power to it. You know, it's more of being lost than anything else, and that would be the shadow of it, which is kind of more where you're at right now, I feel like. And then the star, again, the shadow is like being overly sensitive, if that was possible. And I guess you can, like, but feeling like you're that's it, judging yourself for being too sensitive, judging yourself for being selfish. There's a lot of self-judgment happening here. So there's the shadow of that. And so you're working with the shadows here, and you're working in the shadows, to be quite honest. And it's about flipping that over so that you are more on the light side of these things and experiencing the power of these acting in your life. With the Queen of Cups, you know, I just get this feeling, and it may not apply to everyone, but you have a lot of pressure from other people who have expectations because they're living vicariously through you, and so they want to see you do these things. Like Howard was saying, you know, this unlived dream that's now been foisted on you, and I see that in at least one or two other people in your life. And the Queen of Cups and the Magician, it could be the same person or it could be two different people. And with the Queen of Cups, it's like just this, oh, I don't like the reading of this. They over-identify with you. They definitely put so much, like they put too much, they're too controlling in your life. They get very emotional, and you're such a reflection of them, and it's not appropriate, you know what I mean? And they also were like very they don't believe in you, or they only believe in you to the extent that you can do what they want you to. So it's like, it's not even that they don't really believe in you, it's that they're afraid of your potential and they want to keep it for themselves, which is incredibly difficult, and not very fair. You are an individual, and this is all, you know, oh gosh, I don't appreciate this person's attitude. Very difficult. In you know, in all of this, you know, there is always a reason, right, for the laziness, like I said, and this is all completely understandable. And I think that you need to hear that, you know, you need to hear that what you've done, the way that you're stuck, the way you've been treated, it is all understandable, and it's not appropriate, the catalyst of everything, which is someone who is using you to live their life. Not fair. Not to say, you know, it's a childish word, but your inner child is like, this isn't fair, get me the heck out of here, right? So this person though, and they're so, to the outside world, they seem so lovely, and, you know, and they represent like, oh, we're besties, I can just hear it, you know, but the reality is, like, underneath all of that, they're just they went through the same exact thing, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're just doing the same thing that was done to you. And that doesn't make it okay, but I think that is what's happening, you know. And it's frustrating because you don't have the same dreams, you know, and you don't even have the dreams to make this person happy, I don't think, though you've tried so hard to do that. You tried so hard to mold yourself. I think they were probably pretty successful in trying to subvert their own hopes and dreams to whoever it was that did this to them. I think that was something that they bought into 100%. And I think you have tried to do it and failed. And kudos to you for that, BTW, because you are an individual with your own path. You know, blah, blah. I just don't like. It's so funny. Every so often I get one of these readings and I'm like, no. And this is it. I'm in your corner. The tarot and the universe are in your corner. They want you to know that you are seen and that you are precious and that your purpose is not the same as this person's purpose. And you're not meant to make their dreams come true, period. Okay, what else? I wanted to talk more about what is this about trust? What is it that you need to trust in this situation? I think I already know the answer. I think you probably already know the answer. But let's just see if the tarot agrees with us. Yup. and yes, yes, and yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Here we go. The totality is about relying on yourself and your strength and your connection. This is the thing, the part of you that is the magician, that you claim this role in your life and no longer let this person be the one who is the magician. You're a freaking magician, okay? That's the first thing. So trusting that you have the strength to change, the strength to be yourself and be true to yourself, and the strength to be as powerful, if not more powerful, than this person. The second thing is to trust that you have your own path. This is, and it's hard because there's similarity here. We're both in the realms of the cups. You're a deeply intuitive person. I think this person was also deeply intuitive, but it got twisted. You have the opportunity not to let that happen any more than it already has. So yes, you have a purpose, and it is related to being sensitive and emotional and intuitive, and it's yours and yours alone. And then finally, with the 10 of Cups, you can't do anything else. In fact, to please this person. And by that, I'm not saying like, don't do anything else, or what I'm saying is they are not capable of being pleased. And you already know this, that you have to trust that you have done your absolutely best in this relationship. And that is it. You have done what you can. You have completed what you could. You did your best. You tried to satisfy them. They will never be satisfied because they're still trying to make, the people they were trying to make happy. They're still trying to do that, but now they're doing it through you. It's never going to work because they have to change themselves in order to be satisfied. That's not your responsibility, and it never, ever will be. So trusting your path, your strength, and the fact that this isn't possible, and then going from there. And that, I think, is also part of how you break this block, because the thing that is blocking you is someone else, and you're believing or wanting to please them, and the fact that you don't view your strengths as strengths, and you don't even know you have some of them. So those things together, I think, will help you with this. It is going to take strength, though, absolutely. And it is going to take discomfort, I think, because there has to be an acknowledgement and an embracement of yourself. I think emotionally, it might be hard. Physically, it's not going to be that hard. I think you have the support. The door is virtually open to you. All you have to do is realize that the lock isn't locked, it's leaving this expectation behind, leaving behind someone else's dream. It's time to find your own dream and to live your own life, and to know you're capable of that in a very profound way. This isn't just you dreaming. This isn't just a child's dream. This is your path. And with the guitar, I am reminded of people who become musicians, and if maybe that's what you want, maybe this is what it's all about. Maybe the problem is you are expected to, do the safe thing or the thing that this person wants, and you don't want that, or perhaps it's just, I think of the guitar solo, the moment when the guitar takes over the song and does its own thing, and it's like, you get to do the guitar solo, you get to be an individual. You have your own song. And it's separate, and it might come together with this from time to time and resonate, but sometimes it's not going to, and it should not. It shouldn't. So just know that. And I am absolutely rooting for you in this situation. I really it's a heavy lift, and it's a very, you're living out like such an archetypal situation. It's crazy. This is like a fairy tale situation. It's so universal, and it's so played out in so many different people's lives, and it's so common. And it's common in that it usually goes down generation to generation, or from one person to another person, and you have the opportunity to break that cycle once and for all, and to change not only your relationship to the past and the people presently in your life, but to the future, and change your relationship to people in your future. And if this is about families, like with your kids, you can break this ancestral kind of karma that has come down and landed in your lap and caused you this paralysis. You can say no, and you can get away from it. And even just like physically getting away from it is a start. You know, this person, they're very close, very involved in your life. So finding those ways to really explore. And if it's really hard to do that right now in your life, even I'm serious, read books, right? Like read a ton of books, find out that there's so many more options there, you know, explore. I just think books is it, you know, it's the way to go for a situation like this sometimes. If you're really trapped and you can't leave, escape through reading, and learning, I think, are going to be your like two huge things. Meditation is a part of that. However, I think right now it's more, the emphasis is more on learning, so that when it comes time that you do meditate, it's not about shutting down, because that's the threat right now. Is anything that you do that's like not learning, I think, will serve the purpose of disconnection, which is your natural inclination, your coping mechanism here. And we're trying to break you out of that. And learning is a wonderful way to do that. And it also will show you, you know, that you're not alone, and that you'll read stories where other people have gone through similar things, and you'll start to feel empowered, because this is all about building you up, turning things around. Gosh, I really feel for you. You're in my heart right now. You will be in my heart all day. And I really hope this helped you so much. I feel like this reading is a really, it's why I read tarot, you know, is moments like these. And it's why it's Mystic Shield, because it's like talking about how are you protected? How can you protect yourself? How can you proceed without the baggage of other people, and energetically, as well as, you know, in the visible world. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do like it if you did, and also feel free, please do subscribe. I will be posting more readings like this. I have a ton of different ideas for readings to do, as well as I'll be posting, you know, deck reviews and just information about how I read the tarot, learning the tarot and things like that. And above anything else, have a wonderful day and good luck with this journey. I believe in you. I absolutely do. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.